Admiral Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the large window. He had been in space for 3 months now, leading Earth's first real fleet into the unknown. The ships around him were new, built with the best technology Earth could make. They were not the fastest ships in the galaxy, but they were strong. "Sir, we're getting a signal," said Captain So-Min Lee from her station. She was young but smart, and Jinwoo trusted her completely. "It's not from Earth." Jinwoo walked over to her screen. "Show me." The message that came through was broken and full of static. The voice speaking was not human. It sounded like someone talking underwater, with clicks and whistles mixed in, but the computer was working to translate it. "Help, please. They are killing us all. Our children. Our cities are burning." So-Min looked up at Jinwoo with wide eyes. "Admiral, this is coming from the Villani system." "It's about 40 light years from here." Jinwoo had heard of the Villani before. They were a peaceful people who lived on ocean worlds. They had never hurt anyone. Their technology was different from humans. They grew their machines instead of building them. They were known for being kind and helpful to other species. "Are there more messages?" Jinwoo asked. So-Min worked at her controls. "Yes, sir, many more. They're all asking for help. Someone called the Korthak Empire is attacking them." Dr. Hyun-Sik Kim came onto the bridge. He was Earth's best expert on alien languages and cultures. "I've been listening to these signals for the past hour," he said. "It's bad, Admiral. Very bad." "Tell me," Jinwoo said. Dr. Kim pulled up images on the main screen. "The Korthak Empire is a military group that takes over other worlds. They don't just conquer, they destroy everything. They're taking the Villani people as slaves and killing the rest. Their cities, which are made of living coral, are being harvested for materials." Jinwoo felt sick. "How long has this been going on?" 3 weeks, maybe more," Dr. Kim replied. "The Villani have been sending distress calls to the Galactic Council the whole time." "And?" Jinwoo asked, though he already knew the answer would make him angry. "The Council is still debating what to do. They have something called non-interference protocols. They say they can't act without proper procedures and meetings." So-Min spoke up from her station. "Sir, I'm picking up more signals. These are from the Galactic Council chambers themselves." The new audio came through clearly. Alien voices were arguing in their different languages, but the computer translated everything. "We cannot simply rush into military action," said one voice. "There are proper channels to follow." "But people are dying right now," said another voice. This one sounded desperate. "The Korthak Empire has rights under galactic law. We must be careful not to violate their sovereignty." "Their sovereignty? They're committing genocide. That is a very serious word. We need more evidence before we can use such language." Jinwoo turned off the audio. He had heard enough. Commander Dong-Hyun Choi, his second-in-command, had been listening quietly. Now he stepped forward. "Admiral," Dong-Hyun said, "we both know what this is. The Council is going to talk until there's no one left to save." Jinwoo nodded. He had seen this before back on Earth. Sometimes good people died while others argued about the right way to help them. Dr. Kim was still working on the Villani messages. "Admiral, you need to hear this one." "I just finished translating it." A new voice came through the speakers. This one was smaller, younger. Even through the alien sounds, everyone could tell it was a child. "Mama? Mama, where are you?" "The bad ships came and now everything is dark. I'm hiding like you told me, but I'm scared. Please come back. Please, someone help us." The bridge went completely quiet. Jinwoo felt something hard and cold form in his chest. He had a daughter back on Earth about the same age as this voice sounded. "Sir," So-Min said softly, "there are thousands of these messages. Children, parents, scientists, teachers, all asking for help." Jinwoo looked around the bridge at his crew. These were good people. They had joined Earth's space fleet to explore and protect. They had not expected to find a war, but now they had found one. "Dr. Kim," Jinwoo said, "how long would it take us to reach the Villani system? With our current ships? About 12 days at maximum speed. And how long will the Council take to decide what to do?" Dr. Kim checked his data. "Based on their past decisions? Months, maybe years. And that's only if they decide to act at all." Commander Dong-Hyun stepped closer to Jinwoo. "Admiral, if we go there, we'll be acting without orders from Earth. We'll be going against the Galactic Council's wishes. This could start a war." Jinwoo looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, children were crying for their parents. Somewhere out there, people were dying while politicians argued about proper procedures. "Commander," Jinwoo said. Send a message to all ships in the fleet. Tell them to prepare for combat operations. We're going to the Volani system. Sir? Donghyun asked. What should I tell Earth Command? Jinwoo thought for a moment. Tell them the truth. Tell them we found people who needed help, and we're going to help them. The Council won't act? Then Earth will. Somin was already working at her controls. Admiral setting course for the Volani system. All ships report ready. As the Earth fleet changed direction and began moving toward the distant system, Jinwoo made one more decision. Dr. Kim, send a message back to the Volani. Tell them help is coming. Tell them Earth is coming. The stars ahead looked the same as always, but Jinwoo knew everything had changed. Earth was no longer just exploring space. They were about to enter their first galactic war, and they were doing it for people they had never met, simply because it was the right thing to do. Lieutenant Yoo-Jin Nam sat in the intelligence center of the flagship, watching dozens of screens that showed alien communications from across the galaxy. Ever since Admiral Park had announced Earth's intention to help the Volani, the galaxy had been buzzing with talk about humans. Most of it was not good. Lieutenant, called Dr. Hyun-Sik Kim from across the room. You need to see this. The aliens are talking about us. Yoo-Jin walked over to Dr. Kim's station. On the screen was a translation of a conversation between two alien species she had never heard of before. The humans are from what world? One voice asked. Earth. It's classified as a Class 2 death world in our databases, the other replied. Class 2? That's impossible. Nothing intelligent can evolve on a Class 2 world. They're too dangerous, Yoo-Jin frowned. Dr. Kim, what's a death world? Dr. Kim pulled up more files. From what I can understand, the galactic community rates worlds by how dangerous they are. Class I worlds are safe for almost any species. Class 2 worlds are considered so deadly that most aliens won't even visit them with full protective gear. And they think Earth is Class 2? Apparently yes. Let me show you why. Dr. Kim brought up what looked like an alien scientific report about Earth. Yoo-Jin read the translated text with growing amazement. Gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared. Crushing force that would immediately injure most galactic species. Atmosphere, 21% oxygen. Highly corrosive gas that causes rapid cellular damage to 80% of known life forms. Weather patterns. Violent storms with wind speeds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. Temperature variations of 50 degrees or more. And electrical discharges powerful enough to kill large animals. Native life includes predatory species weighing over 1,000 kilograms, venomous creatures capable of killing adult humans, and microscopic organisms that cause fatal diseases. Yoo-Jin stared at the report. This is what they think of our home? It gets worse, Dr. Kim said. He showed her more files. They can't believe we evolved in this environment. Some of them think we're lying about where we come from. Captain Tae-Yang Wan entered the intelligence center just then. He was the fleet's head of security, a big man who had served in Earth's military for 15 years. Captain, Yoo-Jin said, the aliens think Earth is too dangerous for intelligent life to exist. Tae-Yang laughed. Too dangerous? What do they mean? Dr. Kim explained about the Death World classification. Tae-Yang's smile grew wider as he listened. So they think our gravity is crushing? Tae-Yang asked. And our air is poison? That's what their reports say. Well then, they're in for a surprise when they meet us. Just then an alarm sounded. Admiral Park's voice came over the ship's speakers. All senior staff to the main briefing room. We have guests. In the briefing room, Admiral Park was standing next to 3 aliens. They were tall and thin, with blue skin and large eyes. Yoo-Jin recognized them from the files. They were Alterians, one of the few species that had been friendly to humans so far. Everyone, Admiral Park said. These are our allies from the Alterian Collective. They wanted to meet us before we reached the Volani system. The lead Alterian spoke through a translation device. Greetings, humans of Earth. I am High Commander Velton. We have come to observe your capabilities. Captain Tae-Yang stepped forward. What would you like to see? Your warriors, the Alterian said. We have read the reports about your world. Many species believe these reports are impossible. We wish to see for ourselves. Admiral Park nodded to Tae-Yang. Captain, show our guests to the training deck. The training deck was where the human soldiers practiced fighting. When they arrived, Sergeant Seong-ho Bayek was leading a group of Marines through their daily exercises. The Alterians watched in silence as the humans ran, lifted weights, and practiced combat moves. Sergeant Bayek, Captain Taeyang called out, "Could you show our guests a standard endurance run?" "Yes, sir," Xiang Ho replied. He was wearing full combat armor and carrying a weapon that weighed 20 kilograms. "Standard distance, sir." 20 kilometers should be fine." One of the Alterians made a sound like a whistle. Through the translator it said, 20 kilometers? In that heavy equipment? Xiang Ho started running. He moved at a steady pace, not fast but not slow either. His breathing was calm and regular. The Alterians watched with growing amazement as he completed lap after lap around the training deck. "How is this possible?" High Commander Velton asked. "Our soldiers could not carry that weight for 1 kilometer, much less 20. "Standard human fitness," Captain Taeyang replied. "Sergeant Bayek is a good soldier but not unusual for our species." After Xiang Ho finished his run, barely breathing hard, Engineer Min Ho Jung arrived to show the aliens around the ship. The Alterians were impressed by human technology, but for different reasons than Min Ho expected. "Your ships are built very strangely," one Alterian observed. "Why is everything so thick?" "Thick?" Min Ho asked. "Your hull plating, your support beams, your bulkheads. Everything is much stronger than necessary for space travel." Min Ho smiled. "We build everything assuming it will be shot at, set on fire, lose air pressure, and still need to fight. Because sometimes that happens. You expect your ships to fight while damaged? Of course. A ship that stops working when it gets hit isn't very useful in a battle." The Alterians exchanged looks. Through their translators, Yujin could hear them talking quietly among themselves. "No wonder the Korthak haven't encountered anything like this before," one said. "Deathworlders," another replied. "They actually live up to their reputation." High Commander Velton turned back to the humans. "We have a confession to make. We did not come here just to meet you. We came because we were afraid." "And afraid of what?" Admiral Park asked. "Afraid of you," Velton replied honestly. "When we heard that Deathworlders were entering galactic politics, many of our people worried you would be like the Korthak. Violent conquerors who use their strength to hurt others." "And now?" Admiral Park asked. "Now we understand something important. Strength used to protect others is very different from strength used to hurt them. The galaxy has been afraid of the wrong people." Yujin was recording everything for Earth's files. This was the first time aliens had really understood what humans were capable of, and it was changing how they thought about everything. "High Commander," Dr. Kim asked, "what do your people think will happen when we reach the Villani system?" "Honestly, we do not know. No one has ever seen Deathworlders in actual combat, but the Korthak are about to learn something new about the galaxy." "What's that?" Captain Taeyang asked. "That there are some fights they cannot win." As the Alterians prepared to return to their own ships, High Commander Velton had one final message for Admiral Park. "Admiral, our military advisors have studied your approach to combat. They say you fight like people who are not afraid to die. Is this true?" Admiral Park thought for a moment. "We're not eager to die, High Commander, but we're not afraid to risk our lives for something important. And saving innocent people? That's important." The Alterians left the human fleet with a new understanding of what Deathworlders really meant, and across the galaxy, other species were beginning to realize that everything was about to change. Captain So-Min Lee watched her screens as the human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Villani system. What she saw made her stomach turn. 3 beautiful blue-green worlds hung in space, but they were surrounded by Korthak warships. Even from this distance, she could see the dark smoke rising from the planet's surfaces. "Admiral," So-Min reported to Jin Woo Park over the communication system, "I count 47 Korthak vessels. They have the whole system surrounded." "Any sign of Villani ships?" Admiral Park asked. So-Min checked her sensors again. "I'm seeing debris fields where their cities used to be. Sir, I don't think there are any Villani ships left." On the main screen, the Korthak fleet was already turning to face them. These alien ships were large and dark, covered in weapon ports and armor plating. They looked like they were built for one purpose only: destroying other ships. "Incoming message from the Korthak fleet," reported communications. Officer Wu Jin. "Oh, put it through," Admiral Park ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge. The translation came through clearly. "Unknown vessels, you are entering Korthak territory. Turn around immediately or be destroyed." Admiral Park activated his own communication system. This is Admiral Jinwoo Park of the Earth Defense Fleet. We are here to provide humanitarian aid to the Volani people. Withdraw your forces and allow us to proceed." There was a pause, then laughter from the Korthak commander. "Earth? We have never heard of this Earth. You will leave now, or we will add your ships to our collection of victories." "Sir," Captain Taeyang Wan reported from the tactical station. "They're powering up their weapons." Admiral Park looked around his bridge. His crew was ready. "All ships, prepare for combat. Remember, we're here to save lives, not take them. But if they want a fight, we'll give them one." The first Korthak ship fired, sending a bright energy beam toward Somin's destroyer, the Busan's Pride. Somin watched the beam approach and made a decision that shocked everyone, including herself. "All power to forward shields and engines," she ordered. "We're going straight at them." "Captain?" her first officer asked in confusion. "You heard me. Ram them." So-Min pushed her ship's engines to maximum power and aimed directly at the Korthak cruiser that had fired at her. The alien ship was much larger than her destroyer, but it was also slower. The Korthak captain obviously expected her to turn away or retreat. Instead, the Busan's Pride smashed into the side of the Korthak cruiser at full speed. The human ship's reinforced hull, built to survive in the dangerous environment around Earth, tore through the alien vessel's armor like it was made of paper. "Direct hit," So-Min's weapons officer reported. "Their ship is venting atmosphere and spinning out of control." Across the battle area, the other human ships were also doing things that made no sense to the Korthak commanders. Instead of fighting at long range like civilized species, the humans were closing to point-blank range where their stronger ships had a huge advantage. Pilot Yoon Seo-yoon was leading a squadron of human fighters toward the planet's surface, where Korthak ground forces were still attacking Volani cities. Her fighter, the Soul Reaper, was built to operate in Earth's violent atmosphere. The thin air and weak gravity of the Volani world felt like nothing to her. "All fighters, follow me down," Yunseo ordered. "We're going to show these aliens how Earth pilots fly." She dove toward the planet at a speed that made her alien opponent sick just watching. The Korthak fighters trying to intercept her couldn't match her maneuvers. When they tried to follow her sharp turns and sudden changes in direction, their pilots passed out from the forces involved. "This is impossible," one Korthak pilot reported over their communication system. "How can they survive these accelerations?" Yunseo smiled inside her helmet. "Just another day flying on Earth," she said to herself. Down on the planet's surface, the real shock was happening. The Volani cities were built underwater, in deep oceans that were poisonous to most alien species. The Korthak ground forces were wearing heavy environmental suits that made them slow and clumsy. Sergeant Seong-ho Baek and his Marines jumped from their landing craft straight into the toxic water without any protection, except their regular combat gear. "Water temperature is 4 degrees Celsius, reported Medic Ji Hai Kang over the radio. "Chemical composition includes sulfuric compounds that would burn most alien skin. Depth is 200 meters. "Sounds like a nice day for a swim," Seong-ho replied. "All Marines, standard underwater combat formation. Let's go save some people." The Korthak soldiers watched in horror as human Marines moved through the poisonous water like it was a comfortable swimming pool. The pressure that crushed their equipment barely slowed the humans down. The cold that made their systems malfunction didn't seem to bother the Marines at all. "Impossible," the Korthak ground commander reported. "They are fighting in conditions that should kill them. Their species cannot survive in this environment." But the humans were not just surviving. They were winning. Seong-ho's Marines moved through the underwater city like fish, rescuing Volani civilians and destroying Korthak equipment with equal efficiency. Medic Ji Hai Kang was in the middle of the worst fighting, carrying wounded Volani and human soldiers to safety. The Korthak had never seen anything like her. She moved through active combat zones without fear, treating injuries while explosions went off around her. "She must be some kind of super warrior," one Korthak soldier said over their communication system. "No," another replied. "She's their medical officer. She's not even supposed to fight." "Then why isn't she afraid?" "I don't think any of them are afraid." Up in space, the battle was going badly for the Korthak fleet. Their ships were built for long-range combat against enemies who would retreat when damaged. The human ships kept fighting even when they were badly hurt. Commander Chang Min-ko's heavy cruiser had lost half its armor and was venting air from 3 different holes. But it was still firing all its weapons at a Korthak battleship twice its size. "Sir," his damage control officer reported, "we've lost main power to decks 7 through 12. Can we still fight? Changmin asked. Yes, sir. But if we take much more damage, we'll have to retreat. Then we'll take more damage, Changmin replied. We're not leaving until every Villani is safe. The Korthak battleship captain was listening to these communications with growing confusion. Why don't they retreat when their ship is damaged? Don't they understand they could die? His own officers had no answer. In all their years of conquest, they had never encountered an enemy that fought harder when they were losing. The turning point came when Admiral Park's flagship, the Iron Tiger, engaged the Korthak command ship directly. The alien vessel was larger and had more weapons, but Admiral Park used human tactics that the Korthak couldn't understand. Instead of trying to stay away from the enemy ship, Jinwoo ordered his vessel to get as close as possible. At point-blank range, the human ship's heavier armor and stronger construction gave it a huge advantage. All weapons, continuous fire, Admiral Park ordered. Don't stop shooting until they surrender or we run out of ammunition. The Iron Tiger and the Korthak command ship pounded each other with everything they had. Both ships took terrible damage, but the human vessel kept fighting long after the alien ship should have been destroyed. Finally, the Korthak commander sent a message. We surrender! Please, no more! How can you still fight with your ship so damaged? Admiral Park's response was simple. Because we're not fighting for conquest. We're fighting for people who can't fight for themselves, and we don't give up. When the battle ended, 47 Korthak warships had been destroyed or captured. The human fleet had suffered damage, but not a single ship had been lost. More importantly, the Villani people were free. As human marines brought the rescued civilians to safety, Captain So-Min Lee realized something important had happened here. Admiral, she reported, this wasn't just a battle. This was the galaxy's first look at what humans can do. Word of this is going to spread everywhere. Admiral Park nodded. Let it spread. Maybe next time someone needs help, the galaxy won't spend so much time talking about it. The age of human involvement in galactic affairs had begun with violence, but it had begun for the right reasons. And across the galaxy, other species were starting to understand that the Deathworlders were nothing like what they had expected. The news of humanity's victory at the Villani system spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. In communication centers on thousands of worlds, aliens watched the battle recordings with shock and amazement. No one had ever seen anything like it. Ambassador Wu Jin-oh sat in his small office aboard Admiral Park's flagship, preparing for what he knew would be the most important speech of his life. In 2 hours, he would address the Galactic Council for the first time. Earth had been invited to explain their unprovoked attack on Korthak forces. Ambassador, said Dr. Hyun-Sik Kim as he entered the office, I've finished translating all the Korthak communications we captured. You're going to want to see this. Wu Jin looked at the data files Dr. Kim handed him. What he read made him feel sick. The Korthak Empire hadn't just been attacking the Villani, they had been systematically destroying dozens of peaceful species across the galaxy. How long has this been going on? Wu Jin asked. At least 50 years, Dr. Kim replied. Maybe longer. They call it the Great Cleansing. Their goal is to eliminate all species they consider inferior. And the Galactic Council knew about this? Some of them did. But they called it internal Korthak affairs and refused to interfere. Wu Jin felt anger building inside him. While politicians had debated procedures, entire species had been wiped out. Dr. Kim, I want you to prepare a full presentation of this evidence. The Council needs to see exactly what they've been allowing to happen. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, the Korthak Empire was calling for emergency sessions of their War Council. High Command had never experienced a defeat like the one at the Villani system. How many ships did we lose? Demanded Supreme Commander Karthok, the leader of all Korthak forces. 47 vessels, sir, reported his intelligence officer. Complete losses. The human fleet captured our survivors and sent them back to us with a message. What message? They said if we attack any more peaceful worlds, they will come for us again. And next time they won't be so gentle. Karthok slammed his fist on the table. Gentle? They destroyed our entire battle fleet. Sir, our scientists have been studying the battle recordings. These humans are from what the Galactic Database calls a Class 20th Death World. Their capabilities exceed all previous estimates. I don't care what their world classification is, Karthok growled. They are just one small species. We have thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. Yes, sir, but our combat analysis shows some concerning patterns. Human ships continue fighting even when severely damaged. Their soldiers operate in environments that kill most species, and their tactical thinking is completely different from standard galactic warfare. Karthok dismissed these concerns with a wave of his hand. Numbers matter more than tactics. Prepare the full war fleet. We will crush these Deathworlders and show the galaxy that the Korthak Empire cannot be challenged. Back on the human flagship, Intelligence Officer Da-Un Shin was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. What she discovered was both encouraging and frightening. Admiral Park, she reported, 17 different species have sent us secret requests for military assistance. They're all facing Korthak expansion into their territories. 17, Admiral Park repeated. How many species has the Korthak Empire been attacking? Near as we can tell, sir, about 50 different worlds over the past decade. Most of them never reported it to the Galactic Council because they knew nothing would be done. Fleet Commander Changmin Ko looked up from his tactical displays. Admiral, if even half of these requests are legitimate, we're talking about a galaxy-wide war that's been hidden from official records. Admiral Park felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Earth's small fleet couldn't help 17 different species fight off the Korthak Empire, but they couldn't ignore the requests either. Commander Ko, Admiral Park said, I want you to start training programs. If other species want to learn human combat techniques, we'll teach them. Sir, our methods are designed for human physiology. Most aliens can't handle our training. Then we'll modify the training. Every species has strengths. We need to help them use those strengths the way we use ours. The first alien volunteers arrived 3 days later. They came from 7 different species, all of which had been attacked by the Korthak Empire. Xenoanthropologist Sua Lim was assigned to help them adjust to human training methods. The key, Sua explained to the volunteers, is not to fight like humans. It's to fight like you, but with human determination. The volunteers were confused at first. They had expected to learn human weapons and tactics. Instead, the humans were asking them what they were naturally good at. You have better eyes than humans, Sua told a group of bird-like aliens. Use that. You can see enemies we can't detect. To a group of insect-like creatures, she said, your coordination is perfect. You can work together in ways humans never could. The training was hard, but the volunteers began to understand what made human tactics so effective. It wasn't just strength or technology. It was the willingness to keep fighting no matter what happened. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council chambers were in chaos. The scheduled session to discuss Earth's aggression had turned into a debate about everything the Council had failed to do for the past 50 years. The humans acted without authorization, shouted the representative from the hegemony of Zeta Prime. They violated every principle of galactic law. What law? Demanded the representative from the Altarian Collective. The law that says we should sit and watch while people are slaughtered? Ambassador Wu Jin. Oh finally stood to speak. The chamber fell quiet as the human representative activated the main display screen. Honorable representatives, Wu Jin began. You have called us here to explain our actions. Before I do that, I want you to see something. The screen filled with images from the captured Korthak files, pictures of destroyed worlds, recordings of dying species, and detailed plans for the systematic elimination of inferior life forms. This is what the Korthak Empire calls the Great Cleansing, Wu Jin said. For 50 years they have been committing genocide while this council debated proper procedures. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Many representatives had never seen evidence like this before. Where did you get these files? Asked the hegemony representative. From the Korthak ships we captured, Wu Jin replied. Ships that were in the middle of destroying the Vallani civilization while you held meetings about non-interference. Wu Jin activated another display. This one showed a simple chart with 2 columns. On the left, he said, are the 47 Korthak warships we destroyed or captured in one battle. On the right are the 63 species the Korthak Empire has completely eliminated while this council existed. The numbers spoke for themselves. In one day, humans had done more to stop galactic genocide than the council had accomplished in 50 years. The humans are right, said a new voice. It was the representative from the Vallani Republic, one of the survivors that human forces had rescued. My people are alive because they acted when you would not. Other voices joined in. Species that had been too afraid to speak before were now demanding action against the Korthak Empire. The representative from the hegemony of Zeta Prime tried to restore order. This is highly irregular. We cannot simply abandon our procedures because of emotional appeals. Ambassador Wu Jin-O looked directly at him. Your procedures failed. While you followed rules, people died. Earth will not wait for your permission to save lives. Are you threatening the authority of this council? No, Wu Jin replied. I'm telling you that your authority ends where innocent lives begin. If you won't protect the weak, then others will. The session ended in confusion and argument, but something important had changed. For the first time, the Galactic Council was being forced to confront the consequences of their inaction. As Ambassador O left the council chambers, he was approached by representatives from dozens of species. All of them had the same question. Would Earth help them too? Back on the human flagship, Admiral Park received a report from Fleet Commander Ko. Sir, we now have volunteers from 23 different species requesting combat training, and more are arriving every day. How many of them are facing Korthak expansion? All of them, sir. It appears the Korthak Empire has been much more active than anyone realized. Admiral Park looked out at the stars and realized that Earth had stumbled into something much larger than a simple rescue mission. They had uncovered a galaxy-wide war that had been hidden by bureaucracy and fear. Commander Ko, Admiral Park said, it looks like we're going to need more ships. The age of passive galactic governance was ending. The age of the Deathworlders was just beginning. 6 months after the battle at the Villani system, Admiral Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the largest space fleet in galactic history prepare for battle. The human ships were no longer alone. Vessels from 43 different species had joined them, all equipped with human-designed modifications and crewed by aliens trained in human combat methods. Admiral, reported Captain Somin Lee, long-range sensors show the Korthak home fleet. Over 300 ships, including their Fortress Command vessels. Jinwoo studied the tactical display. The Korthak Empire had gathered every warship they possessed around their home system. This would be the final battle. Either the galaxy would be free of their genocidal campaigns, or the human-led alliance would be destroyed. Status of our allied forces? Jinwoo asked. Fleet Commander Changmin Ko checked his screens. All ships report ready, sir. The Alterian bioships are in position. The crystalline entities have powered up their energy weapons. The Villani coral vessels are standing by for underwater combat operations. It had taken months to get this diverse fleet working together, but engineer Min Ho Jung and his team had done the impossible. They had modified ships from dozens of different species to fight using human tactics while keeping each species' natural advantages. Sir, reported Intelligence Officer Dae Yun Shin, we're receiving a transmission from the Korthak Supreme Commander. Put it through, Jinwoo ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was filled with hatred. Humans of Earth, you have made a terrible mistake. You think your small alliance can challenge the might of the Korthak Empire? We will show you what happens to species who dare to oppose us. Jinwoo activated his own communication system. Supreme Commander Karthak, this is Admiral Park of the Terran Defense Fleet. We're here to end your empire's reign of terror. Surrender now and your people will be treated fairly. Karthak's laughter was harsh. Surrender? We are the Korthak. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We will not be defeated by Deathworld savages and their pet aliens. Then you've made your choice, Jinwoo replied. All ships prepare for combat operations. The battle began with the Korthak launching every ship they had at once. It was an overwhelming display of force that should have terrified any sane enemy. But the human-trained alliance had learned something important over the past months. Sometimes the best defense was a complete refusal to be intimidated. Captain Hai Wanzhang commanded the battleship, Incheon Storm, one of Earth's newest and most powerful vessels. As Korthak ships closed in from all directions, she made the same decision that had won the battle at Villani. She charged straight at them. All power to forward shields and weapons, Hayawan ordered. We're going through their formation, not around it. Her ship crashed into the Korthak battle line like a hammer hitting glass. The alien vessels, designed for long-range combat, couldn't handle the point-blank fighting that humans preferred. Around the battle area, the Alliance ships were using tactics that the Korthak had never seen before. The bird-like Alterian pilots were using their superior eyesight to guide human-made missiles with incredible accuracy. The insect-like hive species were coordinating their attacks with a precision that made them nearly impossible to defend against. But the real surprise was how long the Alliance ships kept fighting. Even when badly damaged, they continued their attacks. The Korthak, who expected enemies to retreat when hurt, found themselves facing opponents who fought harder when they were losing. "How is this possible?" Supreme Commander Karthok demanded from his command ship. "Our intelligence said most of these species were peaceful." "They were peaceful, sir," his intelligence officer replied. "But the humans have taught them how to fight like Deathworlders. That's impossible. You can't teach species to ignore their survival instincts." But that was exactly what had happened. Under human training, the Alliance forces had learned that sometimes survival meant being willing to risk everything for something more important than individual safety. Pilot Yun Seo. Yun was leading a mixed squadron of human and alien fighters against the Korthak fortress ships. Her Soul Reaper was flying alongside Alterian biocraft and crystalline energy beings, all of them using coordinated tactics that confused and overwhelmed their enemies. "All fighters follow my lead," Yun Seo ordered. "We're going to show them what a real fighter attack looks like." Her squadron dove toward the largest Korthak fortress, flying in formation so tight that enemy gunners couldn't target individual ships without hitting others. The maneuver required split-second timing and complete trust between pilots who had never worked together before this war. "Impossible," the Korthak fortress commander reported. "They're flying like a single organism. How can different species coordinate like this?" The answer was simple, though the Korthak couldn't understand it. The human trainers had taught the Alliance forces that fighting together meant trusting each other completely, even if it meant risking your own life. Down on the Korthak homeworlds, Sergeant Seong-ho Baek was leading the ground assault with a mixed force of human marines and alien volunteers. The planet's environment was hostile to most life forms. The air was poisonous, the gravity was crushing, and the temperature was well below freezing. "Standard toxic environment operation," Seong-ho reported over the radio. "All human units, regular gear is sufficient. Allied units, use your environmental suits but stay close to human teams for support." The Korthak ground forces had expected the Alliance to struggle with the harsh conditions. Instead, they found human soldiers moving through the poisonous atmosphere, like it was a pleasant day on Earth, while their alien allies used human-designed equipment to operate in conditions that should have been impossible for their species. Medic Ji Hee Kang was in the middle of the worst fighting, treating wounded soldiers from a dozen different species while under fire. The sight of a human medic fearlessly moving through active combat zones while carrying wounded aliens had become a symbol of the Alliance's unity. "How can she be so calm?" asked an Alterian soldier who had been injured by Korthak weapons. "She's human," replied one of Seong-ho's Marines. "They don't know how to give up on people." Up in space, the tide of battle was turning. The Korthak had lost over 200 ships while the Alliance had lost only 30 vessels. More importantly, the surviving Korthak ships were beginning to retreat from combat, something that shocked their own commanders. "Sir," reported the Korthak fleet commander, "our ships are requesting permission to withdraw. They say the Alliance forces are impossible to defeat." Supreme Commander Karthok couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Withdraw? We are the Korthak Empire. We do not retreat." But even as he spoke, his own command ship was being surrounded by Alliance vessels that showed no intention of stopping their attack. Admiral Park's flagship, the Iron Tiger, was closing in despite having taken heavy damage. "All weapons, continuous fire," Admiral Park ordered, just as he had at the Villani system. "Don't stop until they surrender." The final phase of the battle lasted 72 hours. Captain Heewon Jang and her crew fought for 3 straight days without rest, something that would have killed most alien species from exhaustion alone. But humans had evolved on a world where endurance often meant the difference between life and death. When the Korthak command ship finally sent a surrender signal, Admiral Park's response was the same as always, firm but fair. "All Korthak forces will stand down immediately," he announced. "Your empire's days of conquest are over, but your people will be treated with respect if you cooperate with the transition to peace." The aftermath of the battle was even more important than the victory itself. Dr. Young-Soo Park, Admiral Park's brother and Earth's leading expert on galactic law, worked with representatives from all the Alliance species to create something new, the Deathworld Accords. "These accords establish a simple principle," Dr. Park explained to the reformed Galactic Council. Any species has the right to defend others from genocide, regardless of political procedures or territorial boundaries. Ambassador Wu Jin-o presented the accords to representatives from across the galaxy. The age of talking while people die is over. From now on, there will always be someone willing to act when action is needed. The Galactic Council, faced with the overwhelming evidence of their past failures and the clear success of human leadership, voted to adopt the Deathworld Accords by a margin of 847 to 23. But the real victory came in the months that followed. The Terran Intervention Fleet, commanded by Admiral Park and crewed by volunteers from dozens of species, became the galaxy's rapid response force for humanitarian crises. 6 months later, Admiral So-Min Lee, promoted after her heroic actions at Vellani, was commanding her own task force when they received a distress call from a system none of them had heard of before. Admiral, her communications officer, reported, "We're receiving calls for help from the Epsilon Carinae system. A species called the Gentle Builders is under attack by something called the Iron Swarm." So-Min didn't hesitate. "All ships set course for Epsilon Carinae. Maximum speed." "Ma'am," her first officer asked, "shouldn't we contact the Galactic Council first?" So-Min smiled. "The Council can catch up with us later. Right now, people need help, and that's what we're here for."